and welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to sort of update you on some things. So I'm now fully vaxxed. I had my second vaccine at about, I don't know, when was it? About 5 to 2 was it? Something like that, or it might have been 2 o'clock. So yeah, about an hour ago or so. It went well. It was over very, very quickly. Now I just have the achy arm to deal with, vaccine arm. But it's like my, what's the word for it? My proof of that I've been vaccinated, I suppose. Yeah, it went really well. I was quite nervous beforehand, you know, because anxiety always gets the better of you. It's never as bad as you expect. It was actually less pain. The first time I had it, I think because the first time I was more anxious, because obviously it's a new experience, like, you know, having a vaccine done in my garden. Because obviously with the nature of my OCD and extreme anxiety, I couldn't go to a vaccine centre. Obviously under normal circumstances before COVID, if I had to go to a vaccine centre for, I don't know, any other vaccine that wasn't a pandemic disease, it wouldn't have been an issue. I would have gone with someone and it would have been an issue. But because of the COVID situation, my extreme anxiety, that wasn't possible. So they had to make a home visit, like we did last time, and thankfully it wasn't raining, which would have made it difficult. Thankfully the weather was nice, so I could have it in the garden as planned. I just bought a chair out, I had it right in front of my kitchen door, which obviously relieved my anxiety quite considerably because of the nature of my OCD. It just makes me feel like less contaminated, because obviously I know like they're all safe and everything, and they wear masks, and you know they're all COVID checked and everything, but because I'm OCD, like, you know, it just feels safer doing anything open air. Because obviously someone has to come quite close to me, even though they're wearing a mask. So that was a good accommodation, because obviously that meant that my OCD anxiety was a lot lower than it would have been. And also we had an agreement that the nurse, while she was doing it, wouldn't talk to me. Obviously some people like a nurse to talk to them. And in normal circumstances that would have been fine, but again, because of my OCD, obviously if she was talking to me, I'd be thinking germs, you know, because when someone's talking, obviously it's a basic fact that obviously more germs are going to come out of their mouth if they're talking, so that would obviously trigger my OCD. So yeah, so we had an agreement that she wouldn't talk to me while she was actually doing it, because that meant I wouldn't need to worry about germs. Obviously, she's wearing a mask obviously, but you know, just my OCD. But she spoke to me on the phone beforehand, obviously, to ask for questions that they have to ask, and obviously, you know, put my mind at rest as well. So that was done on the phone beforehand. It was originally going to be on the Friday of last week, on the 10th, but it had to be changed because they wanted to align it with someone else in the same area who was also getting it done on the same day, and that meant that they didn't have to waste a vial. That's the word, isn't it? So that obviously, you know, that was fair enough. It was a bit stressful when they first changed it last week, so it was about 3 days before I was expecting to have it, and obviously I don't like change, or some change don't go well. But I know that was a little bit disorientating and stressful at first, but once I found out the reasons behind it, then I just had to accept it, because, you know, you just have to accept it, don't you? And it was only, you know, it was only a couple of days later. So, yeah. So it worked really well. I barely felt a thing. It's funny because the first time, when it was first done, I felt it. I felt the needle going in the first time, like sort of stinging sensation. But this time I literally hardly felt anything, and it's weird. I was like, oh, is that it? I didn't say that. I thought about it. I was like, oh, is it it? Because it was over so quickly. It literally felt like someone, you know, like when you have a bit of sellotape on your skin, and you like peel a bit of sellotape off your skin, like if it's stuck to your skin, you know, if you ever get a bit of sellotape stuck to your skin while you're wrapping up a present or something, you get a bit of sticky tape stuck to your skin and you like pull it off. and it's like a slight pricking sensation. It doesn't really hurt, it's just like a sort of pricky sensation. It felt like that. I was like, oh, that's quick. Because I was like, oh, when I saw her like moving away, I was expecting her to like get a big. I don't know what I was like thinking like the next part was coming. And she was. I literally thought when I felt that pricky thing, actually that was just her sticking a bandage on my. I don't know, bandage on my skin, like antiseptic or something. Because it was so painless. I was like, oh, it's done. So yeah, dead quick. Literally less painful than the first time for some reason. Maybe the first. I don't know why. It might have been I was less anxious because. I think the first time maybe I was more tensed up, and obviously when you're tense, I think the first time I think my arm was more tensed up the first time, and obviously when your arm is tensed up, I think you obviously do feel the pain more, don't you? I think this time my arm was actually more relaxed. That might have been why. But yeah, no, yeah, fine. Just got a slightly achy arm, but that's to be expected. As I did the first time, it's like, but it's there for a reason, and it shouldn't last longer than a day. So. Yeah, and I'm just pleased I've had it done now, so that's out of the way. Don't need to think about that now. Yeah, I'm being realistic. It's obviously not going to, it's not going to massively change my life in any way. I mean, obviously I have to wait 2 weeks before I have the full immunity anyway. I think they say it doesn't take quite as long the second time. I think it takes longer the first vaccine to get half protection. I think it can take up to 4 weeks after the first one. Whereas I think I read somewhere that for the second one, obviously it's a lot quicker because you already have some protection from the first one. So it's not like you're working from scratch. So I think it takes about 2 weeks. It might even take less in some people, but I'm going with the 2 week mark. But I mean, it's not in any case, whatever the amount of time it's not going to affect my life really in any way because. That's just being realistic, because with OCD it's going to take a long time before I can start to live normally again. I wish I could just click my fingers and think, oh, done, problem solved, had the vaccines, it's all resolved. I wish it was as simple as that. Unfortunately, it's not. My conscience is clean, I feel good within myself, that I've done the right thing, that I've had the vaccine, I've taken a proactive step that's within my control to reduce my risk as far as I can on a practical level, so that if I were unlucky enough to come in contact with a disease, I've got the best chance of fighting it off and hopefully not getting ill, or if I were to get ill, just getting a very mild sniffle or something. So I've done the best I can to make that scenario a good one, a likely one if I were to come in contact with a disease. I'm not intending to come in contact with a disease, I don't want to come in contact with a disease. I'm still playing it very safe because the disease is still out there. It's, just because you've been fully vaccinated then doesn't mean that you can't catch a disease. I wish it was like that. I wish it did provide sterilising immunity, but unfortunately it doesn't, at least not in all people. Some people might be lucky, but obviously you can't tell yourself if you're going to be one of the lucky ones who has been sterilised, or if you can still catch it, So, and I obviously with the nature of my OCD, I don't want to get sick in the first place. I mean, if it was just something like a cold, I wouldn't be worried. So, but because it's a pariah disease where you'd have to basically deal with it on your own. Like if I got it, I wouldn't be able to go over to my dad for comforting, for example, and that would be terrifying for me on a kind of very visceral level, because dealing with being ill on my own without support from another person and would be scary. Because I actually, when I do become ill, I'm not ill that often, but when in those rare occasions when I am ill, I like to know I can call upon another person. Just knowing that releases my anxiety. But if I were to catch COVID, I wouldn't have that luxury. Now that is terrifying for me. So that's one of the main reasons why I don't want to get it. That's what people don't understand. They're like, well, you're not going to get severely ill. You probably won't end up in hospital. You're not going to get severely ill. Probably not, because particularly now I went for 2 vaccines and stuff. Yeah, it's true. Probably I won't. But that's not what makes me nervous. So as long as I could still potentially catch the disease, okay. If I got it, the symptoms would be massively reduced, probably. Obviously, we can't say for certain. My autism doesn't like uncertainty, and there have been cases of people who've been fully vaccinated and end up getting severely ill for some reason. Maybe they just were unlucky and didn't take the vaccine or whatever. But most people who've had it, had both vaccines, don't get seriously ill, even elderly people who've been fully vaccinated. So the vaccines are very effective, at least in preventing serious disease, which is reassuring. But like I say, I still don't want to take a chance, because my OCD doesn't like to take chances. It doesn't like a risk factor. It's all about risk with OCD. If there's a risk, it's still threatening, and particularly when there's a lot of uncertainty. It's not like something it's like, there's a lot of uncertainty around it. So yeah, so I'm not going to be changing my lifestyle anytime soon. As long as this disease is still running amok in the community, I'm not going to be changing my lifestyle. I will be hoping that I can, obviously eventually I want to change my life, because I don't want to live like this forever, but unfortunately what I want and what OCD does to me are two different things, I wish I could live normally, but what I want and what OCD does, they're not aligned, unfortunately. So yeah, so I don't think my life's going to change anytime soon. It's just being realistic. I'm just reassured that to me it's a conscience thing. It's a matter of doing right. I've done right by me, and I've done right by society in getting vaccinated. It's this common sense, logical thing that I needed to do, and I've done it, and I feel pleased that I've done it. And I think it certainly will reduce my anxiety a little bit going forward. It'll make me feel like, that I've basically, if you like, put on an extra piece of armour, if you like, against the disease. I've sanitised myself from within, if you like. I've done my bit. I've done what I can. Because it would be illogical not to, wouldn't it? Considering my fears. So I've done the logical thing by my fears, really. But that's all I can say. Can't say any more than that. I just have to hope that over time the disease will become less of a threat and won't be such of a pandemic disease, and that even if it's here to stay, if it's not running rampant and not such a thing, and the case numbers are a lot lower. And I think over time, once the vaccination programs become more established, I probably will need a booster at some point. I think everyone will at some point, to be fair. But you just have to see. I've done the hardest part. It won't be a novelty if I need to get vaccinated again. It won't be a novelty again. I'm used to it now. It's probably going to be my life now, regular vaccines. But you do what you have to. You have to do what you have to do. So yeah. So that's what's happened today, and that's what I wanted to talk about. I've double vaxxed. I won't have a full protection until 2 to 3 weeks, but so in 2 to 3 weeks, I guess you could say I'm double vaxxed in a more kind of like in the sense that I'll have full protection, if you see what I'm saying. But yeah, it's all behind me now. I don't need to think about vaccinations, at least not for a while. So yeah, so I just wanted to let you know. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next video now, because I want to talk about something a bit different. I want to talk about some issues I have with the term the term neurotypical, and how the word neurotypical is being misapplied potentially. So I'm going to move over on to video number 2 now, so thank you for watching.